And there we go.
Okay.
I think so. It usually dings twice. Okay, well, it says live right down there. Okay, so
Okay.
hello everybody. Hold on, let's say hello to everybody first. Hello. Everybody. This is a special Saturday. As you can see, we have Mr. Tom with us. What do you say to everybody? Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. We have our little Q&A. If there's nobody watching yet, but just in case it starts, because I think there's like a delay. So we start recording, and then like a minute later, it actually goes live on YouTube. So in case somebody starts watching, they can see there's Q&A. So feel free to ask us questions, right?
Yeah.
It's been a little while for me on here, and especially for Mr. Tom on here. We've read tons of comics over the past while since you've last seen him. So Mr. Tom went through his comics and pulled out a stack of books he was interested in talking about. You want to show him how big the stack is? Can you pick it up? The stack, there's the stack. So, some of those are like a mini series where there's 4 or 5 comics involved. Others are just single issues and stuff. So there's quite a few different series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's probably about 8 to 10 different titles we want to talk about today. So we got back last night from some camping. We went camping for a week, how was camping? Did you like it?
Yes, it was very good.
It's pretty good, hey?
Yeah.
We went to this place out past Lake of the Woods. So in Ontario, so it was kind of 400 kilometers away from us, and it's a place that we love, Caliper Lake, and it was beautiful there as usual, and
pretty quiet.
It was pretty quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite part about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really that fun when it's loud.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's not that fun when it's loud. What did you do most?
Swimming.
Swimming, yeah. So what was your favorite part of the whole trip?
Swimming.
Swimming, interesting, huh? Interesting. That's strange how that works. Yeah, we had a good time. Lillian came with us, and it was really great to go with the family. So we've been reading lots of stuff.
Yes.
Why don't you start us off? What would you like to talk about first there, Mr. Tom?
Well, let's see. Well, let's start with a new series.
Can I help you there?
Yes.
There you go. Those are the ones there.
So, we just started reading Iron Fist, the Living Weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So we read issue number.
There's number 1. I'll hold it there. And there's
number 2. And here's number 3.
There you go. That way, yeah. There you go.
And
So what do you think of it?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are the names on it? Let's just pop one open so we can get all the names properly.
And so we can show the art.
Sure, we can do that too. So, where's the title page? Something that Sleepy Reader talked about quite a long time ago. Title pages and credits not being on the first page. So here they are on the back of the very last page. So Kari Kyle Andrews is the writer and the artist. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So it's I'm assuming a one-man show. Yeah, and he did the cover. And, there's a whole bunch of Dale Keown and Jason Keith, Scotty Young, and Michael Del Mundo did variant covers. So, but this is a person that I haven't heard of before. So let's give a sample, and I think I've talked about this one before too, but let's hear your thoughts on it. Let's just show a page from the book. There we go.
Yeah.
So there's kind of what it looks like inside. I really like his artwork. What do you think about it?
It's really good.
This stuff is pretty great too. All the winter flashback scenes are pretty great, and the use of like text, the use of sound effects and things are pretty interesting. So what's the story about?
Well, let's see. So the story's about basically Iron Fist's history.
Mm-hmm. Kind of talks about how he became the Iron Fist. That's right.
Because on the second cover, what's the dragon's name? I can't remember. But this is how he got the Iron Fist. So it said that he was gonna fight it again, but he hasn't fought it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does fight it, I'm excited if he does.
So it shows flashbacks of how he became the Iron Fist. What else does it? What else is in the story? There's some stuff that's happening modern time, right?
Yeah, and well, let's see.
His master was killed, right?
Yeah, in a huge war with Kunlun, but
that's right. In Kunlun, he was attacked and killed. Yeah.
And where did he go again? Because didn't one of the survivors sent him somewhere?
One of the survivors came back to get Iron Fist.
Yeah.
To get Daniel Rand to come back to Kunlun to take over, because he was supposed to take over as kind of the master of the city, but he chose not to become immortal. He chose to retain his kind of kung fu powers and go back to Earth to seek revenge on his father's death, on his parents' death.
Yeah.
So they got kind of ticked off at him. So now he's come back to Kunlun to again seek revenge, and again they offered him the fruit of immortality, and again he said no. So in the last issue we read, number 3, he got out. They kicked him out. They were really ticked off at him and blasted him away. I think I can't quite remember, was it to his past, or it was where his mother died, basically in this winter, in this kind of this snowy landscape of a world. How do you think about, like, so you're how old are you now?
I'm 8.5.
That's right. So you'll be 9 in December, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that side of it. Now, we read quite a bit of different comics, don't we? This one, for example, is rated T+, so that's usually rated T for teen, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but because we've been reading for quite a long time, we've been reading comics. How would you say for you the violence is? Do you think it's a very violent comic book?
I say it's kind of like all the other comics we read.
Really? You don't think it's a little more severe at all?
Maybe just a little bit, but not that
not too
severe.
Bad. So what would you say to, let's pretend that there was some friends of yours who just started reading comic books and they were your age. Do you think this kind of thing would scare some of those kids? Do you think it would disturb them? Do you think it would be too violent for them? I guess what do you feel about that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
Maybe some of the kids, but I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yeah, maybe some of the kids.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, use your discretion depending on what your kids are used to, I guess, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was one thing I was a bit worried about. Not worried about, but I always kind of think about, and it's interesting just to kind of finish that thought. It's interesting reading comics with Mr. Tom because he has for quite a long time, and some of the cartoons we've watched, have maybe a little bit of violence in it and things. I think that Mr. Tom is really able to separate that, as far as he knows that it's a comic book, he knows that it's pretend, he knows that it's a cartoon or whatever. There's no confusion, and there's also, more importantly, there's no kind of reading it and then acting out some of those fantasies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By getting a little kind of rambunctious and stuff like that. So it's easier to kind of read these things with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe that's like a lot of kids, who knows?
Yeah.
So what would you give? Are we going to continue with Iron Fist, the Living Weapon?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you think? Should we do like a between 1 to 5 stars kind of thing? 5 being the best, 1 being not so good? What do you want to do, that kind of thing? Do a rating?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think it would be?
I say 5.
You say 5? Well, 5 out of 5 stars, hey? Well, I'm pretty close with you. I'd say like maybe 4 out of 5 for me. I like it. I want to see where it's going. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
But for me, a 5 out of 5 has to be really just mind-blowing.
Well, maybe I'd say 4.5.
4.5? Okay, 4.5. So Mr. Tom says 4.5, and Mr. Comic Crack says 4. Okay, so there we go.
Okay.
So that's Iron Fist, the living weapon. What would you like to talk about next?
Well, we started another series, Axe Cop.
Yeah. One of our favorites for a long time, isn't it? We've been reading Axe Cop for a long time, the different miniseries.
Because we've only missed one miniseries.
I think so. I think from the reading of this one, I think we might have missed the miniseries right before this one, right?
Yeah.
Because it talks about his wife, and we don't remember him having a wife, do we?
No.
So there's a sample of the inside there. So just to kind of remind people, let's just remind people. So the story is by Malachi, and at the time that this was written, he's 10 years old. Pencils, ink, and lettering by Ethan, his brother, who was 33 at the time this came out. And colors are by Eric Schultz, who's age 31 when this came out. And this says it's a miniseries called The American Choppers, and this is part 1 of 3.
Yeah. So.
Oh, we should also say it's a cartoon now, apparently, which we haven't seen yet. No. It says on the front here, now a major. Oh, it's on Fox TV. So now a major Fox TV show.
Yeah. So I say it's a 4.5 too.
Okay. So what's it about?
Well, it's about a cop that only uses no guns but axes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And anything can happen. So what specifically happens in this series so far? Because I can't really remember, to be honest with you.
Well, so at the start, I can't remember what they're called, but they dress up like a banana, a chicken leg, and what's this one? I can't see.
I believe it was a coconut.
Yeah, coconut. And what happens is I can't remember his name, but there's one.
The Food Force 3.
Food Force 3, because I actually called him the Food Force 3 because he's already gotten it used to be the Food Force 5, but he's already gotten the 2 of them.
That's right.
Yeah, and
I think at the beginning what happens is he's the president of the world, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he decides that it's pretty boring. So he married the Water Queen. Axe Cop decides to let her have his job. So, are you sure you want to let me be president of the world? I thought you liked your job. He says, I just like fighting. Everything else is too boring. So basically at the beginning, he decides he's bored with being president of the world and decides he wants to go back to being just a cop. He wants to be Axe Cop again.
Yeah. So, and they talk about how you become captain of something. You have to come from Captain Planet.
That's right, yeah.
And how you become general, you have to come from General Planet.
Yeah.
And they were all invaded and destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to take her? You okay?
No. And
special non-appearance by the other 2 members of the household.
Yeah, and what else happens? Well, he's looking for.
He starts a new gang, doesn't he? He starts a new group of.
Axe Cops.
Yeah, they start, and then they call themselves the American Choppers.
Yep. So he's like giving people advertisements to become
a member of the team.
Yeah,
right?
And,
he puts out like a want ad, basically.
This. I want you.
We want you to join the American Choppers.
And so he hires most of his family, I guess. Yeah, well, he hires his
friends, basically. He hires some people, yeah.
Friends, and then so when he hires his friends, he gets
Oh, actually, oh, sorry, go on, Jane.
Oh, no, you go.
I was going to say, down here in this corner, it's actually not an ad. I think what he does is he puts a video up on YouTube to get people interested, and he starts getting messages from people.
Yeah.
To want to try to. So this Chainsaw 3 American Choppers tryout, they post a video saying the video was submitted by a group of lumberjacks. Hello, Axe Cop. We are the Chainsaw Force 3. We are really good at chainsaw fighting and doing every chainsaw fighting move. I'm Frank, and these are my brothers, Bob and Rob Jr. We're looking forward to being on your team. And then he comments back saying, hi, this is Axe Cop. I clearly said that only axe fighters could join my team, not chainsaw fighters. You cannot be on my team. Rejected. And then they read it, and they get furious. They get really, really mad, and they turn into demons. And now I think there's going to be a big battle with the Chainsaw guys versus the Axe Cop American Choppers, basically.
And it looks like the next one is going to have axe people.
That's right. Axes that come to life. So, I mean, the biggest draw with this, we've talked about this one in the past, not this particular series, obviously, but Axe Cop in general. The biggest draw for us, especially when we first started reading it, you know, Malachi is roughly Mr. Tom's age. So it has a feel of, if any of you have a 9 or 10-year-old or have experience with a 9 or 10-year-old, it has a feel of just talking to a kid and getting some ideas of when they start telling you a story or they're making up a story, because it really just jumps, and at a split second some special power that they didn't have before they all of a sudden have, and you know, that kind of thing. So it just makes it for a really fun read as far as you never really know what's going to happen. It's really silly. There's parts of it that are really funny, like genuinely funny. And it's just a lot of fun to read together. Axe Cop has always been kind of one of the ones that anytime we see it, we end up picking them up, don't we? Because we just really enjoy reading them. So you give it how many stars, do you think?
For me, 5.
You give it 5 out of 5? Wow, that's pretty high praise. I think I would give it, well, it's interesting. The whole series probably, like the whole idea of Axe Cop, I'd probably give it an easy like 4.5 out of 5. This particular one so far, probably about a 4 out of 5 as well too. But I love the whole idea of Axe Cop just for that reason of being able to share a silly book with Jaden and have a good laugh, or Mr. Tom rather, and have a good laugh.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you want to talk about next?
Well,
Do you want to go into those ones there?
Well,
the one we just finished? Or do you want to save that for the end?
I think we'll save that close to the end. No, not that. How about we'll do
this
Hunger.
One? Okay. You'll have to talk about this one because honestly, I don't really remember much about it. So here we go. So, and I see we have one viewer, so we'll just remind people that we do have the Q&A box open on our little window, so if anybody wants to ask Mr. Tom some questions at any point, we'll kind of stop and we'll answer some questions too.
Yeah.
So this was a mini-series, Hunger. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and I think this was an aftermath from this Age of Ultron. And then there's number 4, Age of Ultron event, right? Yeah, so Age of Ultron aftermath. And we didn't read any of the Age of Ultron stuff. We hadn't really gotten into the big Marvel events yet, had we? No. We kind of jumped onto the whole event thing when we found out we really enjoyed the Infinity stuff.
Yeah.
So we didn't know any of the past stuff anyway. So what's the basic idea of Hunger?
So Hunger is basically a story with Galactus, Silver Surfer, a Kree man, and a Kree guy, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Well, you keep talking and I'll have a chat for because I can't remember either.
So it's about like Galactus. I think I can't remember what he wanted to which world he wanted to eat, but he wanted to eat one of them, and so I don't really remember a lot of it, but well, I'm gonna go have a look.
This guy Rick Jones, who gets the power cosmic, and he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to have the power. He just wants to. At the beginning, the big joke was he just wanted to get a burger. That was his big thing. He didn't want to just go through the galaxy having this power. He didn't feel he deserved it. He didn't feel he was ready for it. He just didn't want it. And he was given the power by the Watcher, I believe.
Yeah, it was by the Watcher.
And he doesn't have control over it at first. So he gets kind of transported all throughout the universe until he finally
goes to the Kree
That's right.
system.
Yeah.
And the Kree was having a war with Galactus, I think it was. And
yeah, keep going.
And I don't know how the war started, but it looked like the Kree and Galactus were having a war with them, and that's really, and it's all about Galactus, how he's pretty hungry and
For sure, I mean it's the usual kind of Galactus thing, right? Like he wants to devour planets, and this guy has this new power, and he's trying to come to terms with the power and decide if he wants it. So it's kind of that type of story. So let's just stop right there for a sec, because I think all of this tells us something very important. It wasn't very good, because as you can see, neither of us remember anything about it.
No.
I don't remember much of the details. I don't remember the characters. I don't remember the story. All I can remember is that it was a Galactus story, and it was this guy who was supposed to fight him, and he had these powers that he didn't want, and that's all I can really remember. So nothing really stuck with this. I mean, I seem to remember at the time we enjoyed reading it enough, but I think it took us a long time to read all 4 issues, just for the simple reason that anytime we had comics and it came time to choosing, because at nighttime Mr. Tom just chooses a couple of books, 2 or 3 comics, and then we read them. I think that the biggest thing about this was we'd had these sitting there for a while, but there was always something else that we wanted to read first, from what I remember. Yeah. So it just didn't really stick. Like, the art was pretty cool. The covers are fantastic. The interior art is all right as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd maybe give it, being generous, a 2 out of 5 for me, because I really don't remember anything about it. I don't remember if it was any good or not.
I would maybe give it a 1.5.
Really, a 1.5?
2.
Yeah.
But just not.
So for similar reasons, or what do you think?
It just, since it didn't really stick, like, I remember when we read it, it was good, but it was alright that we could read it, but I always like, oh no, I'm not going to read this time. There's something better to read.
Yeah.
We'll wait. And it took us, it
took us quite a while to read it.
A couple months.
Because I think we had the last 2 issues sitting in your pile for quite a while, for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Couple months, maybe.
Yeah, maybe even a couple of months.
So
that's that. So that's Hunger.
Yeah, and well, now we're gonna do. I don't think we've done this.
I might have, but I don't think you ever have.
No, I have. I know I haven't.
Okay.
I don't know about you. We finished reading this.
Just recently, didn't we? Like a week or so ago. A couple of weeks ago.
It's a really good one. It's Marvel Knights Spider-Man.
You hold them all, and I'll just take one off at a time. So there's the first one. And there's the second one. And there's number 3. And there's number 4. And there's number 5.
Yeah.
And it is by...
It is by Matt Kindt,
yeah.
Marco Rudy,
yeah.
Val Staples.
That's correct. And Val Staples. So the thing that drew me to it, I'll just kind of talk about, when I first saw that these Marvel Knights were coming out, there's Marvel Knights Spider-Man, There's Marvel Knights X-Men, which we still haven't finished. We've still got a few of those books upstairs. And there was Marvel Knights Hulk, I think, where we only bought the first issue. We didn't get the rest of them because the first issue didn't really. I don't know. I had read the first issue of each of them myself just to kind of get a sense of them. And the Hulk one didn't really appeal to me. These two did. This one and the X-Men did. This one really appealed to me because of Matt Kint's name, who did Mind Management, I think was the one, right?
Yeah, and the first one was it came out around last Halloween.
Oh, did it? Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was like a little bit after last Halloween, and even though I really liked it, we didn't have it for a long time, so it took us a long time to finish it because we just didn't find it. But
That's right.
The first issue was...
Because we went through some time of where we just couldn't buy comics.
Yeah.
So some things got left behind.
And the first issue was kind of like a Halloween issue with like Frankenstein.
A little bit, right? So what happens?
So, well, in the first, he takes the job of the reporter, and he comes to this house, and Game Master, whatever.
I think that's right.
He does he poisons him or something, and that's really how the beginning of the story is.
That's right, and then he starts having to face all of his deadliest foes from out his existence. And it kind of becomes almost like a video game-like because things keep changing and he keeps battling. And once he's beaten one guy, all of a sudden there's somebody else, and then there's somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else. And it just keeps going and going and really, really wearing down Peter Parker, right? He just gets more and more worn down as time goes on.
And at the last issue, there's this guy that convinced because the guy that was running it all was Kingpin, and there's one, I can't remember what his name was.
Kingpin's son, right?
Yeah, Kingpin's son was like a good friend with Spider-Man, and his gig was to break all the bad guys out of jail, so there'd be a long time where there'd be no bad guys out and they would all be in jail.
Well, I think it was part of he was kind of
Yeah.
Just revolting against his father, you know, because he had faith that Spider-Man could actually do this.
Yeah. Where's a good picture on this one?
And that's one of the things with this book. I mean, where's a good picture? They were all such amazing pictures. It was very kind of J.H. Williams III kind of breakdowns of pages. A lot of really interesting art along the exteriors. Also remind me a little bit of Bill Sienkiewicz, I think is how you say it. There was some of that kind of touch with using different mediums for the artwork. Some beautiful pages, like really, really nice art.
Against Kingpin, and that was a really good. There's another really good picture. It was around the start. Not there. I think it was this one.
Yeah, like lots of use of this kind of thing here. I love all that kind of breaking up the panels, and surprisingly for me, doing all the reading and things, it wasn't that difficult to read through. I didn't find myself very confused. Sometimes I find now, especially reading some of the newer comics with Mr. Tom, sometimes as we're reading I do get a little confused as to where we are in the story, what's going on, or I've read something in the wrong order. This one I didn't feel that happening, which is very interesting considering how kind of fractured and sometimes just completely insane that the page layouts are. Made it enjoyable. The end, and at the end what was it is kind of as long as you keep fighting, the only thing that matters is that you have somebody who loves you, and it's Mary Jane at the end, and they have this kind of romantic moment. It was a tiny bit of a cheesy ending. I mean, it's a nice enough ending. You know, I love you, Tiger, and all that kind of stuff. The rest will take care of itself. No matter what the world throws at you, you know, you'll always be able to deal with it because you have somebody loving, waiting for you at home. I mean, it's a very nice sentiment and everything. It's just maybe a tad bit cheesy, but It was really enjoyable.
I put it 5 out of 5.
You do? You put it 5 out of 5? So this is probably one of your most favorite comics you've read ever?
Yeah, it's
really, eh?
It's really good. I really liked it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Like when I saw that we had some issues, I would if there's something
Usually read it pretty quick.
Yeah. If there's something else that we've been into and I wanted to read that more than this, I would do it. But when I saw an issue before I saw something better, I would choose it.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hesitate to give anything a 5 out of 5 because there's always improvement, but I'd say 4 out of 5 for that. I really like the whole idea of Marvel Knights series anyway. I wish they would do some more. I don't know if there's any plans for more or what the deal is, because all 3 of those series that I talked about I think were mini-series. I think they were all maybe 5-parters, possibly.
Yeah.
But I really like that idea of letting a little more non-mainstream artists and writers, even though Matt Kindt kind of really borderline is a bit more mainstream, I guess. I like the idea of giving somebody else the reins and just letting them do a one-off little story and something that doesn't have to do with continuity, and you can just get a nice little tale. I mean, as much as we do enjoy the big events, it's nice to have. We were talking about it one of the other times that, he asked me how many series have we actually finished, and the answer is not very many because they just go on and on forever and ever. It's really nice to read a 5-part story where that's it. It's over. And read FF and Fantastic Four, which we'll talk about later. Like, we read that from beginning to end together, both of those series. Like, it's nice to have a whole chunk of a story that we can read together that ends, that has a beginning and an end. It makes it fun. I mean, it's also fun to read the ones that go on and on and on, because those kind of ebb and flow and all sorts of things. But yeah. All right, next. Just to remind again, I see there's a viewer. We do have Q&A, so if you have any questions for Mr. Tom, feel free to type them up.
Yeah, because I love questions.
Mr. Tom loves questions.
Let's see. Well, let's see. Let's do...
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, so we started this series 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I think so, hey? Maybe like a month ago now. So it is...
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. And we've only read number 1 and 2 so far. We do have number 3, but we haven't read it yet because we have quite a pile of stuff, because there was a time also when I was away working that was obviously like 6 weeks. And we see Mr. Tom every single weekend, and we read comics every single weekend. But when I was away, that didn't happen as much. So we have a huge stack of books that we're behind on that we're trying to catch up to.
At least have like 50, I think?
No, maybe not that
40.
many, but maybe about 20 or 30, yeah. We've got quite a bit.
Yeah, but... So
Silver Surfer, back to Silver Surfer. So we haven't read number 3, so we're still a little behind.
Yeah, but I really am liking this series.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Well,
may I ask?
At the start, it wasn't that good because, it didn't really have... But, of course, at the start, they're giving you the idea of what's going to happen in the story.
That's right. They kind of give you the introduction to the characters and the world, right?
Yeah. But I see the second one was good because, what was he doing is he was trying to, because he was gonna fight the Never Queen, and but
he got conned into coming to help to fight the Never Queen, because
the guy that has hostages, and if Silver Surfer doesn't defeat the Never Queen, he will kill the hostages.
That's right. That's what he says. That's what he says he'll do. We don't know if we believe him yet.
Yeah.
And he's taken a Earth girl prisoner, and they have some link together that they're not quite aware of yet. They know about each other. They have some kind of attraction to each other, but they can't quite figure it out. And apparently they're a very important duo. in the future, I guess, is what we're kind of being led to believe. So right now, what happened in the last episode, the last issue? They were all imprisoned, and what did she do?
She broke them out.
That's correct.
That was basically the main thing, and she figured out how this is like
the Empiricon.
The Empiricon is where they were trapped, I think, and she figured out how they were doing this. They had the Never Queen's heart as the power source.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why the Never Queen is trying to destroy the Empiricon. Basically, she wants her heart back.
Yeah.
And Silver Surfer has started to find this out.
And Silver Surfer is helping her.
That's right. He's going to go investigate. That's right.
Yeah. That was basically the main thing that happened in the last issue.
And as usual, let's just do a quick, just because I can't remember. So Dan Slott and Michael Allred are the storytellers, is what it says. So what do we think of? Are we a fan of Mike Allred's art, or aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, tell us how you feel. What you think about it.
I say if there's a rating out of 5, I'd put 4.5.
On just his art, eh?
Yeah.
And what do you think about the whole story overall?
I say 4.5 too.
Yeah, I'm kind of up there. I'm kind of up there with you, believe it or not. I've always really loved Michael Allred's art, and I find it really, really exciting that he's getting so much work at Marvel. We'll talk a little bit more about his art in FF and Fantastic Four. But for this one, I think it's solid pretty much the whole way through. And his wife does some amazing coloring, and she's been with him forever and ever doing coloring. His imagination is pretty great. Some of the other creatures that are imprisoned with her, and even some of the pages like this, all these different realities. He's kind of seeing all these different realities of the two of them together. Are pretty unique. It's very cartoony, and I think it really, really works, and I think it's just really fun.
It's T+.
This is rated T+ as well, which
I don't see how this could be T+.
Either do I, to be honest with you. So I wonder sometimes if the ratings are
correct.
Or what exactly they mean, because I'm noticing the Marvel Knights Spider-Man was T+, Hunger was T+, and then of course the Living Weapon Iron Fist was T+. The Iron Fist one makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
The other ones don't quite, because they're not as kind of severe, and especially Silver Surfer. I'm kind of surprised at that. I never noticed that.
It's kind of like it's basically like a cartoon except a comic book.
Totally, and I think that's a good way to describe it. It's very cartoony, and it's very fun so far.
It seems like even like I say 6 and 7-year-olds, like 6-year-olds could read that too, because it doesn't really seem that scary at all.
Yeah, totally. And so some people have compared Silver Surfer to Doctor Who. So you're a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Because what people have kind of said is that Silver Surfer is kind of like Doctor Who, and she is kind of like the companion, you know what I mean, as far as it goes. So they kind of have that relationship. Do you see that at all?
Not as much as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it's interesting. Well, just to finish this thought, though, I think it's an interesting thing to kind of make that comparison, just because it has the sci-fi element and it's a male figure and a female figure. That seems kind of a loose way to to compare it to Doctor Who. I mean, that's just the way you got to have some characters in a story. I don't know as much about Doctor Who as Mr. Tom does.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I quite see it. I just see her as a strong female lead character who's going to be pretty important to the story, just as much as Silver Surfer is. It's one we're going to continue with for sure, hey?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we both really enjoy it. It's an enjoyable read. It's fun, you know? It's just fun.
So,
speaking of Doctor Who,
so
Yeah, of course I can help you.
So where do we find the documents?
I found these ones at I think it was Red River Bookshop when I did some trading. So there was number 1, number 2, and number 3.
I see.
And these are the Francavilla covers. So I think this is from. It says his signature says it's from 2012, but let's just have a look inside to see exactly when. Let's see. Sorry, everybody. A little bit of.
Well.
Let's have a moment of silence. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well.
I think it's 2012. Carry on.
My dad is looking for the date. So I was just going through my Legos upstairs, and I found the connection to Doctor Who in it. So I went to my train, took off a little bit
Lone
of
Ranger train set, yeah.
And went to my Star Wars set and took off some of the defense system, and I was able to make a Dalek from Doctor Who.
There you go. It's pretty cool. A little Lego Dalek from other pieces of Lego. So, shall we talk about this one?
Basically, the story is that the Doctor's companions and whoever's helping him is being stolen from him.
That's right.
And they're gonna see if he can do it if he can survive without his companions.
Not only one doctor, but they go through a bunch of the doctors, right? So this first one, they go through the first doctor from 1963 to 1966. If you see over here at the top where my finger is in the way. So it looks like they're going through all the doctors. So that's the first doctor. And then the second doctor from 1966 to 1969 right there. And then this third issue is the third doctor from 1970 to 1974. So basically, the story has each of those doctors in the issue, and at some point in the issue, the companions get stolen, right? They disappear.
Yeah.
And this is as far as we've gone, and I'm not sure how big the series is. We found the graphic novel, and I can't remember because the whole thing makes I think it was it a 9-issue series or something? How many doctors, what doctor number are they on right now on the show?
On the 12th.
The 12th. So maybe it is a 9-issue series.
If we have a look at the first one, yes,
that's number 3 right there. Yeah, that's number 1 right there.
Mm-hmm. It should tell us because it's like they're going. It looks like they're going through all the doctors in it.
Whoever this hooded figure is. Yeah, they only show a few. I don't know if that's going to tell you how many issues it is. It doesn't say. It's a 9-part miniseries, but we've only found the first 3. We haven't really done some hardcore looking for the rest of them. But I mean, when I traded some stuff in because they were there and fairly cheap, I figured we'd give them a shot. And I kind of like the idea again of having the single issues. And like I said, we went to the I think it was Chapters bookstore, Chapters Indigo, and they had a hardcover version that collected all of these.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We didn't pick it up just because maybe we'll have a look to see if we can finish off the series. It's pretty fun. I kind of wish Francavilla did the art through the whole thing because I really like his covers. And I actually think his style would work really well with Doctor Who. I think it would be pretty great with like this pulpy feel of a kind of a series, you know what I mean? So it's fun so far. That's basically the gist of it. And like I said, because each issue is kind of its own little contained, it's almost like it's its own little Doctor Who episode. And then the thing that kind of is the thread through it is that the companions keep getting stolen. So maybe over time, each individual story will make a little more sense how they intertwine, but that seems to be the thread holding all the issues together so far, right?
And probably like he's gonna face this massive threat at the last issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wonder if all the doctors will get involved in the last issue.
Well, there's an episode of Doctor Who that's it's not in the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special. It's I think it goes through all 5 doctors at the exact same time.
Oh, really?
And
so there's 5 doctors that are in the same episode or special together.
Yeah, and then there's a recent one where it only shows 3 of the doctors. Let's see. It shows the 12th, 11th, and 8th.
Okay.
Because the 8th Doctor, they say the only reason that he's in the special is because of he's the one that was the one that had to they say that he blowed up Gallifrey, his planet.
Oh yeah, okay.
To save his people from the war with the Daleks, which is what I made.
Yeah.
And but then in the end of that issue, he makes a time field at the end of that episode, he makes a time field around Gallifrey, so no one can go to it. It's blocked off in time, and they will live in peace.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. And
so that was on the TV show.
Yeah, it's a special. I think it's like its 50th years. No, 50 years. I don't know what 100th anniversary.
No, it wouldn't be that because it's only been on for 50 years. But maybe it was like a certain amount of episodes. Maybe it was like 1,000 episode or something like that. Or it was a special anyway.
Yeah, I know it was a special. And
so what do you think of that before we move on? What do you think of that Doctor Who Prisoners of Time so far?
I said it was really good.
Okay.
So now I'm just gonna get a stand.
Moving on. Oh, what? Sorry.
A stand so you can have a look at my dollar. Well, maybe I won't.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll put them on top of the cup right there. There you go. Just ignore the straw. There we go.
Yeah, ignore the straw.
There he is there. Okay, so I'll put it over here, actually. Right there. So yeah, next let's talk about those, since it's another kind of Mike Allred thread. So one book that we finished actually just this morning. We finally finished the Fantastic Four and FF series. We're reading both of them. There were 16 issues of each, so a whopping 32 issues of Fantastic Four and FF crossover type action. Yeah. With who were some of the people in it? Doom, Kang,
Doom the Annihilating Conqueror.
Doom the Annihilating Conqueror. There was all sorts of multiple universe Fantastic Fours. There was She-Hulk, She-Thing, or Miz-Thing, etc., etc., etc. There was a lot of characters. Medusa. Yeah, that's right. There was some Inhumans.
And there was Ant-Man, because Ant-Man was the leader of the FF.
That's right.
And basically the story was that the Fantastic Four was going to leave for 4 minutes, and they put the FF, which is She-Hulk, Miz-Thing, Medusa, and Ant-Man in charge. But
taking care of the future Foundation, right? All the kids and stuff.
And so 4 minutes later, they're not back. So that's basically the starting of the story.
So why were they going? Why were the Fantastic Four going away?
Because they were disevolving.
Yeah, they were disintegrating. They were losing their powers, and they were kind of starting to get eaten away at. So they were. Reed Richards had told them that they were going to go on a family vacation, but he really knew why they were going. He was going to go searching around to see if he could cure the family under the disguise of, hey, we're going to go on a family trip for 4 minutes. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody started to find out, and things started going haywire, and this Doom, the Annihilating Conqueror, started appearing and wanting to take over the universe and his usual thing, right?
Yeah. But at the start of FF and Fantastic Four, at the start of FF, it wasn't that good. Like, I didn't really. still read it. It wasn't as good as I thought it was, but then after we read and got to like
we got a few issues in, then you started really enjoying FF.
Yeah, and didn't
because at first we only started reading FF.
We didn't.
So what happened? We didn't read Fantastic Four. We read FF because of Mike Allred, and I thought it would be fun for Mr. Tom.
Yeah.
So once Mr. Tom got into it, he started really enjoying it, and then we decided, why don't we see what's happening in Fantastic Four as well? And then we started enjoying reading both of them together.
Yeah. And why is this rated T?
Again, yeah, see another one, rated T. So rated T for teen. This one is only rated T, not T plus like all the other ones are, which is crazy to me. I've never really paid attention to the rating, and now I can see that I probably should never pay attention to the rating because it doesn't really make much sense. So I can see that, maybe this one is a little more advanced for sure. So what do you think about overall how the series went? Like, was it fun reading it through the whole time?
Well, at the start it wasn't that good, like I said, but once we got past the 5th issue, it started getting good. I even heard you say it yourself that you weren't actually liking it, but we still read it.
That's right. We gave it a shot.
After that, it actually turned out to be a really good one.
Yeah, there was some parts that we really, really enjoyed. Like at the beginning, it was, well, let's give it a fair shake. Let's read a bunch of issues before we make a decision, and we started really enjoying it. I think we started enjoying it more once we read both of them together.
Yeah.
The story started making a little more sense. It was neat to see both sides and how they connected with each other. Go ahead.
And so if I was to rate which one I liked more out of FF and Fantastic Four, I say I would do the Fantastic Four one.
Really? Okay.
Because at the start the Fantastic Four one was better than the FF.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I liked how they would travel in times. They were with Impossible Man in some of the issues. They got involved in some Skrulls.
That's true. Yes, they did get to visit some interesting timelines and see some interesting things.
Kind of like Doctor Who, because whenever he goes somewhere, there has to be something bad happening.
For sure.
So, like, basically, whenever they went somewhere, there's something happening, and there is a threat of some sort, I think.
Okay.
But that was I still say I like the Fantastic Four better. But once we started reading them both and we kind of read them in order, I say I liked FF and Fantastic Four equally.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. There was good parts about both of them, and at different times I liked different parts of it. The thing that I really noticed, especially at this end with the wrap-up, we were talking about it yesterday because I actually stopped reading it last night because I just couldn't do it because it was so wordy. These last few issues were so wordy, and there was so much kind of pseudoscience talk and comic science talk with explanations of why things are happening and why they were able to do this, that, and the other. It was so ridiculous, and there was a few times I didn't even understand what was going on, and literally asking Mr. Tom, do you even understand what they're talking about on this page? And he would say, sort of, not really, so I found that part really, it made it almost a trial to read these last few issues. Were really like, we were almost finished, we just got to keep going, and we were just slogging through it as opposed to enjoying it. So in my opinion is it was a very, very, very weak ending. I really didn't like the ending, and I wonder if that's because I think Fraction's name was still on it, but I know near the end he had kind of had the outline and given it to Lee Allred, who's another of the Allred clan. I think it's Mike Allred's brother. Kind of gave him the outline, and then he took over the writing duty. So I don't know if that's why it was, or if it was just that with the outline that he had, it was just a lot of information to cram in, because it really felt like it was just crammed, where it took like a good 5 minutes just to read 2 pages, you know what I mean? Because there was just so many words and there were so many references, and everybody who would talk would have these big grand, they'd be giving example after example of what they were talking about, and just so overwritten that it was really tough and not fun to get through. I really didn't enjoy reading the last few issues. And based solely on that, I'd give the whole thing maybe a 3 out of 5 for the whole series. Early on, like he was saying, at times there were some parts that were a lot of fun to read, where it became kind of one of our favorite things to read was, oh, I can't wait to see what happened next. That was a lot of fun. But it was also mixed with a couple of issues where it was like, that one wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Overall, it was fun, and I think that the biggest thing for us overall is that it was fun to read an entire series together. So we read from 1 to 16 of each of them together. So it was cool to take that journey to have our first bigger series completed, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So now... Sorry, did you have something else to say before I cut you off there?
No.
Okay, so now on to the last. These are the last chunk we'll talk about, and it's all one whole thing. This is a more modern.
Well,
not a more modern. This is a more recent thing that's going on. Go ahead.
The Original Sin. This is been one of I say our favorites at this point. And,
so totally.
And we've gotten the alternate covers and just the normal covers. So
So yeah, I managed to find the first 4 issues have variant covers by Arthur Adams, right? Is that, hold on, still, yeah. Arthur Adams did some variant editions, and I actually found them for cover price at one of the comic shops in town, whereas even at the Comics America when they had the 50% off sale, he was selling each of these issues for like $12.95, $14.95. So even at 50% off, they were still more than cover price. So I was lucky enough to find these issues at Comic Factory for their cover price. So I decided to pick them up because I absolutely love Arthur Adams' artwork. And it's Deodato the rest of the time, whose artwork I also thoroughly enjoy. And it's Jason Aaron writing it. And what's the story about, Jaden? Go ahead.
It's about how the Watcher has been murdered, and they're just trying to figure out who's murdered it, and they kind of figured
murdered him, yeah. And
they kind of figured out that Winter Soldier was the one that murdered Nick Fury, but then we figured out that the Nick Fury that he murdered was a robot of Nick Fury, and that there's the Nick Fury is actually really old, and he just keeps making robots of him, and they need to, and they figure that out in like what issue was that?
I don't know, 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we've only read number 5. We're only up to number 5.
And it's an
8, I think. Is it 8?
Yeah, it's 8, I think.
8-part series.
Yeah.
So just to kind of streamline that a little bit, just so everybody doesn't get confused, Watcher has been murdered. His eyes have been taken. The eyes unlock secrets of things that the Watcher has seen. One of the eyes explodes, basically, like releases all its secrets to everybody that's standing around. So now everybody has these secrets from other people. They know secret things from other people.
And then they start Original Sin.
Yeah, but hold on. Just before you go on to that, let's just make sure that let's do one thing at a time. Let's start with this one.
Okay.
So there's some teams that are created to go and investigate who's murdered the Watcher, right?
Yeah.
They come across trails of all these dead bodies, all these monsters and things. It leads them all eventually back to a spaceship in outer space. It looks like at the end of one issue, Winter Soldier has killed Nick Fury. He's gone rogue, he's gone crazy, he's a bad guy. He kills Nick Fury, takes his head, turns out to only be a robot because when they all meet on the ship, the real Nick Fury emerges. He's really old now and he's dying. And what has happened was that he's been in charge of... He's been the guy that's been out in space as kind of a last defense for any really intense attacks on Earth that the regular superheroes don't even know about. Nobody knows about it. He's kind of like really deep undercover, and he's been the one that's been assassinating all these monsters and ditching them in the alternate reality of Doctor Strange and stuff like that. And basically, he's gathered these people, these specific group of people, because he's going to die right away, and he wants one of them to take over his post. So he's hand-selected this small group. It's Doctor Strange, it's Punisher, it's
Moon Knight.
It's Black Panther.
I can't remember. She's part of Guardians
Winter Soldier.
of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Can't remember her name.
No, I can't remember all the names either. But anyway, a small group of them.
And Captain
one of them
America?
is gonna. No, Captain America is still on Earth. They come to confront him now because the rest of the Avengers on Earth have now figured out what's going on, and now they're going to confront him. So it is incredible. At the end of every issue, as soon as we finish reading it, we immediately want the next one to come out. Infinity has hooked us into reading some of these epics that Marvel has. But this one has really taken it up a notch as far as it's really interesting. I know that it's going to be a launching off point for things like there's now going to be a female Thor. There's going to be a
Falcon.
Falcon is going to take over as Captain America. Tony Stark is moving to San Francisco. So I have a feeling that this series is what's going to launch all those things happening, which is fine. Because as a standalone story, if you try to forget about some of that, I think it's a really, really well written story so far. It's really interesting. The idea of the Watcher being dead is really good. The idea that his eyes hold all these secrets is really interesting. Sure, the idea that Nick Fury isn't Nick Fury and there's all these robots is not as exciting because it's kind of been done before. I still think it works with this. I really think it's an enjoyable book, and we love reading it.
And at the end of the issue that we just read,
number 5, yeah.
Number 5, it turns out that I think that whoever was at the satellite is going to have a fight with the robot Nick Fury.
That's right. Yeah, everybody's come to invade. Nick Fury still has some secrets that he hasn't talked about. It sounds like he might have been the one that murdered Uatu, but we don't know yet because he hasn't come out and said it. Black Panther wants to basically beat it out of him because he's convinced that Nick Fury is the one who killed the Watcher, but he hasn't said that yet. So we're just at a point now where the rest of Avengers are coming and crashing in and trying to get to Nick Fury, killing all the robots, fighting all the robots, and that's kind of where it left it. So we'll see how it ties up. Yeah. So because we enjoyed that, we decided to try
the Original Sins.
Original Sins. And the Original Sins is basically when that eye released all of its secrets, everybody got a secret of one of the other superheroes or supervillains or whatever. So let's just go through this again here. So each one is kind of
so the
3 stories. I'm going to move the Dalek, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
So go ahead, Jaden.
So the first one has Deathlock, Young Avengers, and Lockjaw. Okay. And the Young Avengers is in everyone.
That's right. It's kind of a story throughout the whole thing.
And the second one has Black Knight, Young Avengers, Howard the Duck. Third one has Inhuman, Young Avengers, J. Jonah Jameson.
The Jameson one is pretty funny.
Fourth one has Doctor Doom, Young Avengers, and Captain America. The Captain America one is pretty funny.
Yeah, I can't remember what was the Captain America
because there's this guy at the superhero fest, and when he was young, he peed on the step
on the frozen body of Captain America. That's right. Yeah. So what it is the Young Avengers is its own little story throughout all of them, and honestly, that's kind of that's okay. I should only speak for myself. The Young Avengers is my least favorite part about this book. How do you feel about the Young Avengers?
The Young Avengers is like it basically. Young Avengers is alright. The Young Avengers has the Red Hood with it in it, and I say it's alright, but I like the whatever other guys.
So they have, each issue is 3 stories, which I think is a really neat idea. So the basis of the Young Avengers is that they're trying to, because not only have superheroes absorbed these secrets, but everyday citizens have as well too. So whoever was in the kind of blast site has absorbed these secrets. So the Red Hood is trying to extract those secrets from these regular people and releasing these secrets on the internet and letting them spread out like viral, so everybody can be privy to these kind of these big secrets. So that's the premise of that. It's a pretty neat premise. I'm not a huge fan of Young Avengers, so for me it doesn't hold much interest. I don't kind of understand some of the banter and some of the jokes because I haven't read the series. If you're a fan of Young Avengers, chances are then you'll like it. What I do like about it is the first one is usually fairly serious. The second one is the Young Avengers, which has a little bit of a joke, and then the last one is usually pretty funny, and it's only like a 2-page thing. For example, this J. Jonah Jameson one was somebody finds out the secret that before Spider-Man became Spider-Man, he was a wrestler for a bit or a fighter for a little bit, and J. Jonah Jameson wrote a glowing article about Spider-Man, and that was kind of his big secret from his past. And what he does is he basically destroys all the hard copy, all the evidence that he ever wrote anything positive about Spider-Man. So I like that kind of idea. It's pretty fun. So they kind of take the whole thing and make a little bit of a joke about it. Whereas the first story is usually very, very serious. In this last one, the Doctor Doom one was pretty heavy. We never found out what he found out. What was the story about the Doctor Doom? Do you remember?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, what was your first, like, for the first of all the stories, what was your favorite one out of Deathlock, Black Knight, Inhuman, and Doctor Doom?
Honestly, I think Doctor Doom one was my favorite. What about you?
I do Doctor Doom, Inhuman, Deathlock, and then Black Knight, because Black Knight didn't really have a story to it. If that was
or not one that we really understood, because again, it's hard reading a story about a character that you don't know anything about. Yeah. Neither of us really know anything about the Black Knight, so there was probably a lot of it that was just lost on us because we don't know the character. And for me, it was the same with Deathlock. I don't really know the character.
Me too, but it was still like an alright story. But I would put Doctor Doom as my favorite, then Inhuman, then Deathlock.
So a regular guy finds out a secret of Doctor Doom and is going to try to use it against Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
And his friend warns him about, don't go up against him. He's going to find out some way, and he's going to get his revenge before you even sit down with a meeting. And what happens is while he's in the waiting room, he starts getting these calls. His bank has been blown up. His family has gone missing. All these things are happening. All these people that he's left information with are starting to go missing or ending up dead and everything. And the last panel is him standing in front of Doctor Doom and him saying, so you wanted to talk to me about something, and that's where it ends. I thought it was very clever. Just kind of shows how evil he really is. And again, I like the idea of just an everyday person gaining these secrets and depending on their personalities. I think it's fun. It's a fun spin-off, and it's only a 5-issue miniseries. And like I said, minus the Young Avengers, each story is a standalone thing, and it just is kind of a fun addition to what we're already reading. We're not reading any of the crossovers as far as I'm going to read the Daredevil ones because I read Daredevil anyway. But we're not hunting down all the other original sin like the Deadpool and all that kind of stuff.
And Nova.
And Nova and all these things.
And
so finally, the one that we are reading though is
Hulk versus Iron Man, because it's a new series for the original Sin, and since it doesn't really have a story in front of it, we tried it, and it's so far is good because we figured out Iron Man was the one that released the Gamma Bomb on Bruce Banner.
It's looking like Iron Man is responsible for Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. We have number 2 and 3. We just haven't read them yet.
Because we bought both of them at the exact same time, and when we got them, we were just finishing up FF and Fantastic Four.
So it's pretty neat. So Bruce Banner has got some of his secrets, of Tony Stark's secrets, basically. so he's starting to figure them out. I don't know if this is going to be an 8-issue mini as well. It's Original Sin 3.1. It's written by Mark Waid, which is pretty good, and it's pretty fun actually. It was the one that we wanted to try because it sounded like kind of a cool idea. So we'll see what happens, but
yeah.
So I mean those are the only spin-offs from Original Sin that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Original Sin?
5 out of 5.
This
5
so
out of
far,
5.
5 out of 5. I'm pretty much there with you. I'm saying like a good 4.5 out of 5. I'm almost 100% with you on that one. And what do you think about Original Sins?
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 as well, eh? Wow. Well, I'd give that one maybe a 3.5 to 4 out of 5 for that one. I still really enjoy it. And then what do you think about this one?
Well, since we haven't really went into it, I would give it 4.5.
Okay, I'm going to give that one a 4 as well, too, because we're just starting it.
Because we don't really know what's going to happen.
But overall, I think it's a pretty good event.
Yeah, I wonder what the next big event is. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a pretty good event so far. Jason Aaron is a pretty darn good writer. I think it's a pretty neat idea. And like I said, I'm going to be on board if it's people like Mike Deodato and Arthur Adams and these just high-quality artists. It makes me miss the Secret Avengers series that I was reading that ended quite a while ago because they also did some art in that too. I just really, really love it. There's something about their style that just works so well for me. I love his pages. And I'm also a sucker for anything Doctor Strange, so I love that Doctor Strange plays a huge role in this as well. And the mindless ones and things. We're almost done here, Mom. And there you go. There's the big image there. So this was one that I thought maybe would be a little too violent as well, but it turns out, again, it's, you know, it doesn't seem to faze him, and it hasn't really been an issue. So I think that's about it, hey? Those are all the books.
So since we've got one viewer, maybe this would be the time to ask a question.
Let's just check to see if, because maybe it's not popping up. Let's have a look. We'll just have a quick open up of another window. And we'll go to YouTube. Give us a few seconds here. And we'll do that. And we'll do my channel. And we'll just have a look to see if there's anything happening. Sorry for this whole pause here. We'll make sure that we mute that. There we go. Oh, here we go. Larasa has some questions here. I guess they didn't show up on our thing itself, so maybe. She says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Just spotted your video." And then she asks, "Which Spider-Man stories are your favorite?" Maybe Mr. Tom has some recommendations. Do you have any favorite Spider-Man stories? We've read some of Uncle Dan's old Spider-Man books, haven't we?
Yeah, I say my favorite one was the Marvel Knight Spider-Man because it was just really good.
Yeah, it was just really good. It's just really a unique look at it and some fun art and things, right? Is that what that basically it? Some of the old ones were good too. I mean, because we read some of the stuff we read were just after the death of Gwen Stacy. That's how far back we went with Uncle Dan's Spider-Man comics.
But then we couldn't find the comics.
Yeah, we're missing some gaps, so we paused it basically.
Yeah.
But some of those are pretty fun too. But you think the Marvel Knights one is your favorite so far, hey?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. All right, and that looks like that might be the questions. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, nothing's loading on, so maybe the Q&A thing didn't work today. Anyway, so let's say goodbye.
Okay, so...
Thanks very much for watching, right?
Yep, that was our video, and I don't know when I'm going to come back, but I hope I come back soon to another video.
Yeah, you can come back whenever you want, Mr. Tom. You're always welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
And, bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks for watching. And now let's try to stop the broadcast. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye. So long.
Think it's off.
See you later.
Alligator.